Okay, let's picture this. You've got this high-stakes situation brewing, a potential trade war, the U.S. and Korea, and there's this massive 25% tariff bomb set to go off, deadline August 1st.
Yeah, the tension was really palpable. Markets watching, everyone holding their breath.
And then just like that, almost literally the last minute, the U.S. president steps up, announces a deal.
Crisis averted.
Anyway.
Just like that. A huge sigh of relief, I imagine.
Right. So the big question for our deep dive today, the real mystery is how? How did that happen? What was the game changer that turned it all around?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
It is. And we're going to unpack the sources we've looked at, and they reveal this, well, pretty unlikely mix of things. Corporate strategy, high-level diplomacy.
And a huge shipbuilding project, surprisingly.
Exactly. All coming together to not just fix this trade spat, but maybe even reshape the geopolitical landscape a bit.
It's definitely complex. I mean, all these different threads, a company's move, a specific visit, this industrial plan, they all seem to just click together at the right moment.
Understanding how those pieces fit is key, right?
Yeah.
Not just what happened, but why it worked.
Precisely. It wasn't just luck.
Okay. So to get that understanding, let's rewind a bit. Back to that immediate pre-deal tension. August 1st is staring everyone down.
Right. The pressure's on.
But then, 2 days before July 30th, something really significant happens. A specific event.
Okay.
A high-profile visit to the Hanwha Philly shipyard.
Yeah.
In Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. And this wasn't just, a standard tour.
Philly shipyard. Okay. Hanwha's place.
Yeah. And look who was there. John Phelan, U.S. Secretary of the Navy, and Russell Vought, the director of the White House OMB.
Vought. OMB director. That's significant. Wasn't he a key player in the Trump administration's first term?
He was. And described in the sources as the control tower for this project called Make American Shipbuilding Great Again, Masga.
Wow, okay. So the Navy secretary and the OMB director visiting a private shipyard. I mean, that close to a huge trade deadline. That's unusual.
Very unusual. It definitely suggests something more strategic was going on than just kicking the tires.
It screams strategic importance, really, not just a photo op.
Totally. And they weren't just walking around. Phelan and Vought got the full tour from Hanwha Group Vice Chairman Kim Dong-kwon and the shipyard CEO.
Guided by the top brass from Hanwha.
Yep. They saw the facilities, and the discussion was apparently all about expanding U.S.-Korea shipbuilding cooperation. Real nuts and bolts stuff.
Okay, so getting down to business.
And during that visit, Vice Chairman Kim made a pretty big commitment. He basically said Hanwha, with all its shipbuilding know-how,
class capabilities, yeah,
would use Philly shipyard as the foothold to lead new shipyard construction in the U.S., train workers, sort out supply chains, and really push ship MRO maintenance, repair, and overhaul.
So a concrete, specific promise delivered right there on the ground to these key U.S. officials.
Exactly. And here's the picker. U.S. government sources apparently confirmed that the president made the final call on the tariff deal, including the Masga project, immediately after getting the report back from Vought and Phelan about that shipyard visit.
Wow. So a direct line from the shipyard floor through Vought and Phelan straight to the president's decision. That's incredibly fast and direct.
Tells you how important that visit and that commitment really was. It seems like the catalyst.
It really does. So how did Hanwha get into such a, pivotal position and Vice Chairman Kim's role in all this?
Well, Kim Dong-kwon was already deep in it. He flew to Washington on July 28th.
Okay, before the Philly visit then.
Right. Specifically to support the Korean government's side in the tariff talks, planning to stay right through the deadline, August 1st, helping out officials like the Deputy Prime Minister and the Trade Minister.
So embedding himself with the official delegation, proactive diplomacy.
Very proactive. And Hanwha didn't just show up with moral support. They brought concrete investment proposals, stuff to sweeten the pot.
Like what?
More investment in Philly shipyard, which they'd only just acquired.
Right. You mentioned that. They bought it earlier in the year.
Yeah, and commitments on local tech transfer, workforce training, real tangible benefits for the U.S. side.
Okay, backing up the diplomacy with actual investment plans. Makes sense. And that Philly acquisition, just to flesh that out, Hanwha finalized it last December, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Hanwha Systems took 60%, Hanwha Ocean 40%. Cost them about, $100 million U.S. in 2024. So this wasn't just a spur-of-the-moment thing. It was planned.
Definitely strategic. And their plans for Philly Shipyard are, they're ambitious. They want to bring in Korean-style production management.
The efficiency focus.
Exactly. To ramp up capacity from maybe one 1.5 ships per year now.
Which isn't a lot for a major yard.
No, to potentially 10 vessels by 2035.
10. That's a huge jump, a 7-fold increase.
It's massive. And this big commitment, this ambition, it wasn't happening in a vacuum. It was all tied into this bigger thing, this Masga project we mentioned.
Right. Make American shipbuilding great again. That seems to be the central piece here.
It really does feel like the core strategic card they played. It's this whole package, basically.
Oh, right.
Big investments from Korean shipbuilders like Hanwha.
Combined with U.S. financial backing. Loans, guarantees, that sort of thing.
Yes. But the scale, this is where it gets kind of mind-blowing. Korea and the U.S. agree on a, wait for it, $150 billion Masga shipbuilding fund.
$150 billion.
Billion, with a B. Roughly 209 trillion Korean won. Just to put that in perspective, the entire U.S. shipbuilding market annually is estimated around, what, $39 billion?
So this fund is like 4 times the size of the current annual U.S. market. That's transformative money.
It's huge, and it's not just for building new ships, right?
No, exactly. The idea is it covers the whole waterfront, so to speak. Construction, yes, but also MRO maintenance, repair, overhaul, and equipment suppliers, too. The entire ecosystem.
So really rebuilding the industrial base.
Precisely. And that's where it goes beyond just trade, you know? It's economic cooperation, sure, but it's deeply tied into strategic goals. Strengthening the U.S. defense industrial base, locking in a key ally. There are geopolitical layers here.
Which makes Hanwha's existing presence in the U.S. even more relevant. They weren't starting from scratch.
Not at all. Hanwha Ocean, for example, they've already been winning MRO contracts. Remember the U.S. Navy's 7th Fleet ship?
Right, the USNS Wally Shira last August.
And then the Yukon and the Charles Drew followed. So they're already working directly with the U.S. Navy. Building trust, showing capability.
And then there's the Austal situation.
Yes, the Australian shipbuilder.
Yeah.
Huge presence in the U.S. market for smaller warships, logistics ships.
Hanwha's actively going after management control there. They already own nearly 10% and want more.
Which would give them an even bigger slice of the U.S. defense shipbuilding pie. It all fits together.
It really does. And it brings us back to Secretary Phelan's visits, making them seem less unusual now.
Exactly. That Philly visit wasn't his first Hanwha stop. He was at their Joji shipyard in Korea back in April.
Looking at commercial ships, submarines, the MRO work on the USNS Yukon.
Right. So when he later said how important it was to see the Philly investment after seeing the modern Korean yards, it connects the dots. He was assessing their whole capability end to end.
A comprehensive look, not just a casual tour.
Definitely strategic evaluation.
Okay, so let's tie it all together. The immediate result of all this maneuvering, the tariff deal.
Right. The U.S. backed down from that scary 25% tariff.
Lowered it to 15% starting August 1st.
And that 15% number is important, isn't it?
Crucial. It put Korea on the same level as Japan and the EU, who'd already settled their tariff issues. So no competitive disadvantage for Korean industries versus their main rivals.
Double playing field restored. Critical.
And in return, Korea made this much broader commitment to the U.S.
Yeah, it wasn't just about shipbuilding, though. That was key.
No, the total package was something like $450 billion in investments and energy purchases over time, with that $150 billion Masga shipbuilding fund being a very significant chunk of it.
So Masga really was, as you called it, the core strategic card.
Yeah.
But maybe customized diplomatic card is a good way to put it, too.
How so?
Well, it wasn't just about boosting exports for Korea. It was framed as strategic industrial cooperation between the two countries. And, let's be frank, a way to counter China's growing maritime power.
Right, the geopolitical angle again, building up allied naval and industrial capacity.
Exactly. And you have to see this in the context of Hanwha's own goals. Chairman Kim Sung-yeon has long talked about making Hanwha a top 10 global defense company.
And this deal certainly helps that ambition.
Massively. I mean, look at the rankings. Aspiria had them jumping from 42nd globally in 2022 way up to 24th in 2023. This kind of U.S. partnership, especially in defense shipbuilding, accelerates that climb significantly.
So when you step back and look at it, this whole U.S.-Korea tariff agreement, it feels like much more than just a trade deal, doesn't it?
Oh, absolutely. It's a real turning point, potentially. For Hanwha's global ambitions, yes, but also for cementing that U.S.-Korea strategic partnership in a very tangible industrial way, especially with all the geopolitical shifts happening.
And Philly Shipyard, a single site in Pennsylvania, becomes this focal point.
Yeah, it's like the symbolic hub, but also the practical platform for making it all happen, where the strategy hits the steel, you could say.
So there you have it, a tariff fight that looked pretty grim
Headed for a cliff.
gets resolved through this really intricate dance. Corporate strategy, focused diplomacy, and this absolutely massive project, Masga.
Quite the combination.
I think the big takeaway here for you listening is seeing how a private company's investment, targeted just right, can become this incredible leverage in international talks.
Yeah, it's not just governments negotiating in a vacuum anymore. Strategic industrial policy, driven partly by private firms, is clearly a powerful tool.
And it shifts the focus, right, from just arguing about market access or tariffs to actually integrating industries for shared strategic goals.
Yeah.
That feels different.
It does. It suggests economic partnerships are becoming even more tightly woven with geopolitical objectives. So maybe the final thought to leave you with is this. Where else might this be happening? Think about other critical international relationships, other vital industries. Could similar strategic investments by companies, maybe flying a bit under the radar, be quietly reshaping things? What other unlikely connections might be driving these big global shifts that we don't always see right on the surface?